It's officially Halloween. Trick it is. What is up, Fins fans? Welcome to Fins Temporal Focus and a happy spook day to you guys. Be safe out tonight getting your candy. Hope all the kids out there have a brilliant Halloween. But we're going to talk about the trick that is the Miami Dolphins. Definitely not many treats in last night's game. I've got my coffee, doing this video early. Batteries were kind of going dead last night. Didn't really feel like talking about the game anyway. Kind of went the way that I had talked in my preview video, just a little worse. Game could have been closer in the first half, but we're going to talk about that right off the get-go. Like I said, it is very early. I'm going to just start with that first half before I get into any overall stats for the game. And a continuous shoot ourselves in the foot in that first half. I had said in my preview video that I felt like it would be close at halftime, tied. Thought maybe even Miami might have like a small lead, maybe 3 points. And then the Ravens would pull away in the third, and the fourth quarter would have no meaning. Well, the opportunities were there in the first half. This team played very well in the first half. But what we are going to talk about, again, it's the only way to look at it is just shooting ourselves in the foot over and over again. Referees definitely did not help. I am not one to put losses on the referees. I am, however, when it comes to some teams, Kansas City Chiefs, I put some wins on the referees. But this one did not come down to the referees. We did not play well enough, obviously, to win this game. But there's a few big points in that first half. Obviously, Taj Washington's fumble, that hurt. We gave the Ravens a short field. We had already stopped. The defense played pretty good. They were stopping, I think, 6 punts for the Ravens. The Dolphins only had 3 punts. Of course, we'll talk about that with the turnovers, the fourth downs, all that stuff. But it was another debacle in play calling. Either the play calling or the play execution. This game comes down to Tua or McDaniel, who you want to put it on. Because both seemed bad. And Tua, as much as I love him, I'm going to get into that too. There's some stuff that Tua's doing out there that is absolutely driving me crazy. And I partially get it, and I blame the fans and the media, just to be honest, of what he is doing out there. And I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get into this, but the big thing, again, Taj Washington's fumble, that really hurt us. We were 3-0 at that point. Ravens get the ball. I think it was inside the 10. Go in for a touchdown. Mark Andrews, who absolutely killed us. I mean, he only had 2 catches for 22 yards, but he had 2 of Jackson's 4 touchdowns. The tight ends killed us in this game as well, especially in the red zone. Okay? We got the false start on 4th and 3 by the right tackle. Patterson's misses a 38-yard field goal, and that is his first real miss, and that one shocked me. It really did. He's played so well. So you had a chance for it to be 7-6. Misses the field goal. Then, of course, you had the big play downfield. Tua drops a pass to Jalen Waddle, who made an absolutely tremendous catch. And then you have the unsportsmanlike conduct, leg whipping by Ollie Gordon, which was absolutely not leg whipping at all. His feet his legs were absolutely nowhere near the defender. He fell down. The guy was trying to step over him. But it is clear that he slipped on the turf and fell way before the defender got there. They even had, and I can't think of his name, but the official that they have on there a lot of times to explain penalties, whether it's a penalty, if it's not a penalty, he's like, this is absolutely not a penalty. He's clearly falling down. He never threw his leg out. Now, he did kind of hold his leg up, but it was nowhere near the defender. This call absolutely, it really pissed me off. And I'm not a big, oh, that's not holding, oh, this is blah, blah, oh, it's referees, referees. No, I am very, if I see something, I call it. If I see something, I absolutely call it. There's rules. And I hate it when people are like, that was not holding. Yeah, it was clearly holding. And I'll go one step further. I felt like they kind of tried to do some makeup calls on the Ravens in this game. Like the unsportsmanlike conduct. I don't remember who it was. It was a defensive back yelling at the referee, wanting the flag. Well, he got the flag. But again, that is a situation, that is the referee literally, hey, I don't want you yelling at me. He's yelling for the flag. He's upset about the play. It was not egregious. It was literally, throw the flag. What are you doing? He felt like he was interfered with. And it was close, I will say that. But it was hand checking. I think it was a good non-call. But I also think it was bullcrap to call the Ravens player for unsportsmanlike, for yelling at the referee because he wanted the flag. He looks at him, he yells at him about getting, get the flag out, and he turns to walk away. And they flag him. And then there was a holding call, I think, on the Ravens that I also felt like was very ticky-tacky. It could have went either way. And holding calls are that way. They can go either way. There's holding on almost every defensive player who is covering a receiver, and there is holding on the offensive line every snap. It's just, is it egregious enough to warrant the flag? But the call on Ollie Gordon, if the referee cannot see, at least somebody, it was clear that he slipped. He was not beaten. The defensive player was nowhere near him, literally didn't engage him to beat him. Now, the other offensive player, I can't remember, he had already engaged him, but Ollie Gordon was nowhere near him, and he slips, he falls down, the guy steps over him. Well, yeah, Ollie's putting his hands up, kind of like, but come on. That one drove me crazy. But another situation, and he went off went off on the sideline. And I think even one of the coaches was like, you tripped him. And he's like yelling at him, that he did not, he was upset. I said to my wife at that point, I'm like, put that guy in the game right now. He is absolutely beside himself. He's going to run like a madman. And then a few plays later, he's hurt and he's gone for the game. Don't know any status on his injury. I know they did x-rays. So Ollie Gordon had every right to be upset on that play. It was absolutely bullcrap call. Then you have Tua still completing 5-yard passes on 3rd and 10. It seems to me, and that's what I was getting to, I was going to get to, Tua seems more interested in completion percentage than winning games. He is very gun shy, and I think a lot of that is our fault, fans and media, because there is sometimes he needs to force the ball, even if it's intercepted. And of course, he just came off 2 games. Oh, back-to-back, 3 interceptions, horrible, And but it's the way the game plays out that interests me on this. If my quarterback is trying to make a play, and it's 3rd and 10, and you're throwing a out in the flat for 5 yards. And I get if people are covered, but there becomes a point in the game where you've got to take that chance. You actually do need to force the ball a little bit. Now, is it a double-edged sword? Yeah, because fans, media are going to come at him again and say, oh, another day, 3 interceptions. He only threw 1 in this game. But there becomes a point in the game where you hope, you give your guys a chance to make a play on the ball. And if it's 3rd and 10 and you're already down, you need to make a play. I understand being conservative if it's a close game. But you're still within the game. You're down 2 scores. But there comes a point where you're like, we got to start taking some chances. And Tua seems like he's just afraid to take a chance with the ball at this point. He won't take a chance until the game is out of reach. And then, of course, I've got to talk about the end of the half. At what point is there a rule that you cannot sit your quarterback down for a play? Is that a rule that I missed? The Dolphins do a good job. They get the ball back when the Ravens could have done the double whammy on Miami. There's like a minute left. I want to say it was like a minute 8. Dolphins have to punt. Ravens get the ball. Dolphins defense stands up again, holds them. Well, they call a timeout, the Ravens, on the 1st down play. It's incomplete on the 2nd down play. Miami calls a timeout on the 3rd down play. Or no, they didn't even have to call a timeout. They called a timeout, I think, on the 2nd down play. There was a penalty on the Ravens, so the Dolphins didn't have to call their final timeout. So the Dolphins get the ball with like 38 seconds, something like that, and 1 timeout. Now they get to midfield with like 13 seconds left. Then Tua throws an out. Of like 5 yards, incomplete. With 1 second left. You're at midfield. Now, I don't know if it's Tua's my guy, which is stupid. Because if it is at that point, you cannot set him down for a play. Tua has said, I don't have an 80-yard arm. Well, that's being very generous. Tua does not have a 60-yard arm. And that's okay. Steve DeBerg had a really good career, and the man could not throw the ball maybe 50 yards, 55 yards. He had Tua's arm as far as strength. But Steve DeBerg was a dog. You know, played for the 49ers, had a great run with the Kansas City Chiefs, even played for the Dolphins, and he lit it up in 93 when Marino went down, and we went through like 3 quarterbacks that year. But Steve DeBerg came in, and he was like, oh my God, no wonder Marino was so great. It's the playbook. Everybody is receiver one, which was a great playbook, by the way. Homage to the great Don Shula. It very well gets overlooked of how good their playbook was for Marino. But why do we not bring whoever the backup is? I know you can't bring in your third stringer. I believe that's the rule now. He's only emergency only. But whoever was the backup, yours or Wilson, with 1 second left at midfield, bring in the guy with the stronger arm to throw the Hail Mary. What do? We leave Tua in. Everybody knows he's not going to throw a Hail Mary because he can't get it there. It's not going to do any good if he does throw it. But at least put in the guy that can get the ball there. Throw a Hail Mary at the end of the game. I don't understand why you can't just put the backup quarterback in for a play just to say he's got the stronger arm. Why is that an issue? Where is that written that Tua has to stay in for a play that he is not designed to do? He can't. I love Tua as a person, but he cannot throw the ball 60 yards. And if he does, it's going to be right at that. Whoever threw that was going to have to at least throw 65, 70 yards. Just because, yes, it was 50 yards, but you're going to be back here. You're not going to be standing at the line of scrimmage to throw it. So that irked me, as you can tell. And then, of course, we lost Chop Robinson to a concussion. So that was your first half. This first 15-minute rant of mine was just the first half. And you know what? The Dolphins moved the ball the whole first half. We're down 14-6. It could have been 14-9 or even more with some of the things that I'm talking about here. Now, granted, the Hail Mary is exactly what it is. It's a Hail Mary. Maybe you get the touchdown. Maybe you don't. It doesn't really matter at that point. But there was obscene opportunities for this team in the first half. Now, what was my fear? Lamar was going to get his bearings in the second half, and that is exactly what happened. And then it was downhill from there. Ravens just took over that ball game at that point. I liked seeing the emotion in Mike McDaniel, but again, I said it, that emotion was there against the Falcons. It's just too little, too late. So anyway, we're going to get into some stats of the game, which mostly is the first half for the Dolphins, second half for the Ravens. Tua Tagovailoa, 25 of 40, 261 yards, no touchdowns, and had the pick late in the game. Achane, 14 carries, 67 yards, 4.8 per carry. He also had 6 catches for 39 yards. He also had that long reception that they overturned, brought it back. Again, a little ticky-tacky, but I can understand it. Most of Tua's numbers were in that first half. He was, I want to say he was close to 200 in that first half. And the Dolphins absolutely dominated, like 300. I think they had 300 yards, 100 and something at one point. They had dominated in that fashion. But of course, then you had Malik Washington. He also had 3 carries for 13 yards, and of course the fumble. He had 3 catches for 48 yards. Jalen Waddle led the way, 6 catches, 82 yards. Greg Dulce. Either Dulce or Dulcich. I don't know exactly how you pronounce his last name, Dulcich. But 5 catches, 49 yards. Nick Westbrook, 2 for 22. Tried to get him a little more involved. And then, of course, you had the Taji Washington. Had 1 catch for 11 yards, and they basically just pulled him after the fumble. A little drastic, I would think. On defense, Dante Trader Jr., he had a really good game. 7 tackles, 5 assists. Absolutely great game. Stood up Derrick Henry. Stood him up. Now, granted, I went completely blank. Rajul Douglas had a hold of his ankles. Could not think of Rajul's name at all. Had a hold of his ankles, but he was trying to push forward, and Traders got him. And I thought that was impressive anyway. But again, Dante Trader, very good game. Dolphins with 2 sacks. Phillips with the sack. Should have had a second sack. That was also a thing that happened in the first half of that game. Slid right down Lamar Jackson. This is twice now. We had the Justin Herbert incident and now Lamar Jackson, where it seems like Jalen Phillips cannot make the tackle. That's getting a little bit too trendy. But, again, I said it with Justin Herbert. I'll say it with Lamar Jackson. Kudos to Jackson for being able to get out of the tackle. But this one looked worse. Herbert's looked like he was just trying to overpower Phillips. But this one did look a little different because you see Phillips just slide down Lamar Jackson like he was just greased with butter. And I have no idea what happened there. That goes back to that first half debacle that I was talking about as well. And then Jack Jones had the other sack for the Dolphins. Lamar Jackson, 18 of 23, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns. The tight ends ate us alive. 3 of those 4 to the tight ends. He also rushed the ball 5 for 14 yards, but they kept him in check in that sense as far as his running ability. Derrick Henry was kept in check in the first half. Opened it up in the second half. 19 for 119 yards, 6.3 per carry, and most of that came in the second half. Jay Flowers, 5 for 64. Isaiah Likely, 3 for 60. And then, of course, Mark Andrews, 2 twos. 2 catches, 22 yards, 2 touchdowns. And a lot of people talking about him getting traded. I really don't know why. Mark Andrews is a brilliant, brilliant tight end. Charlie Collar had the other touchdown, and Rashad Bateman, wide receiver, had the 4th touchdown for the Ravens. We'll also talk about their defense a little bit. You've got Roquan Smith had a game, 9 tackles, 3 assists. Safety Malik Starks, 5 tackles, also had the interception against Tua. And then Kyle Hamilton, newly acquired safety. He was all over the field. 3 tackles, 3 assists. Doesn't sound like much. But in that first half, you can tell there was a play where he studied film. because the Dolphins shifted. When the Dolphins shifted, he came straight up to the left side of that line, it would be the Dolphins' right side. As soon as Tua handed the ball off, he was literally, boom, 5 yards right there. He did a great job of reading that play. And that wasn't just reading the play. That was film study. So, great job by Kyle Hamilton. Absolutely brilliant. The corners played well also for the Ravens. They had 2 sacks, all halves. So Travis Jones, David Ajabo, David Ajabo, Mike Green, and Brent Urban, all half a sack, made up their 2 sacks. And then Jordan Stout also had an outstanding night punting the football. I think he had 4 punts. They had 6 punts, and I think 4 of those punts inside the 20. He was just dropping bombs inside the red zone on the Dolphins. Great job. Total yards, Dolphins 332, Ravens 338. Dolphins all came in the first half. Ravens all came in the second half. Rushing, 87 yards for the Dolphins, 150 for the Ravens. The Dolphins completely stopped running after Ollie Gordon got injured. I was worried about that, but I want to say they ran the ball 14, 15 times in the first half, and I think they ran it like twice, maybe 3 times in the whole second half. Can't do that. And the game was still there. It wasn't a blowout at that point in the third quarter. But just, it's like we're scared to run the ball if we get... sometimes I feel like we could be down 3 points. And it's like Mike McDaniel's like, oh, can't run the ball. We got to pass. We got to get ahead. Long game. Should have still been running the ball. Should have still been running the ball. They just gave up on it. And I say that because of attempts. They just gave up on it. First downs, that was even. Dolphins 17, Ravens 18. Third down, that was a big one. Ravens 5 of 13. Dolphins a lowly 2 of 12. Converted 2 third downs. Fourth downs, Dolphins were 2 of 3. So over 50%. And the Ravens were perfect, 1 for 1. Of course, we talked about the sacks, two for each team. Penalties were fairly even. I kind of talked about that, kind of that makeup calls. 5 penalties for the Dolphins, 56 yards. 5 penalties for the Ravens, 45 yards. Turnovers, Dolphins had 3, Ravens zilch. And that is the big issue for this game. And the 2 fumbles hurt us a lot more than Tua's interception. At that point, he's just throwing it up, trying to make a play. It wasn't anything. Time of possession, pretty even as well. Ravens led that department 31 minutes, 43 seconds to the Dolphins, 28 minutes, 17 seconds. And that's your game. That is your stats and what this thing looked like. And like I said, this game was won in the first half, even though the game was close in the first half. But Mike McDaniel did sum it up at the halftime when they asked him, what they had to do. And he's like, we can't play 2 teams out there. We can't beat 2 teams. And they're having to beat themselves and beat the Ravens. And like I said, I think it's too little too late for Mike McDaniel. I like the fact that he did have he was very emotional on the Ollie Gordon play. Very emotional, as he should have been. I was very emotional. I still am on that play. But it's just a matter... for everybody who's waiting for the Miami Dolphins to fire Mike McDaniel, I don't think it happens. I don't think it's going to happen unless we start losing, by blowouts and this one, I know it's 28-6. It was closer than 28-6, not making excuses. It doesn't matter. But I'm using that as an example of what I'm calling a blowout. It's going to have to be 3 or 4 more games of the Cleveland Browns and the Indianapolis Colts game for him to make a decision to fire Mike McDaniel. For everybody who's out there with picket signs for Mike McDaniel's head. And this team they're still fighting for him. You can see that this was one of those games. We shot ourselves in the foot, but it was also some really bad luck in that first half as well. Some bad calls. And this one, you just have to kind of, this one was frustrating. The Browns game, that one was frustrating just because they played horrible. The Colts game, that was just a shocking, horrible game. Wasn't expecting it. And then you have this game where they played. They put everything they had into it, at least in the first half. Second half, not so much, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think the defense was still playing pretty hard in the second half, but the offense, there's just no emotion. They had nothing. It's time, I guess, just to sit back and you Dolphins fans come on in and start. You can start your talks about who we're going to draft and what we're going to do. I have no idea. I haven't looked at the college scene to see who's coming out really that is that impressive. I know a lot of you guys are clamoring for a number 1 pick. I don't think it matters because I don't think there's anybody coming out this year that is even worthy of a number 1 pick. I think we're just as well off picking 6th as we are picking 1st. I really don't think it matters. There's nobody out there where you're going, ooh, I need the number 1 pick so I can get said guy. It's not happening. But that being said, guys, again, happy Halloween. And who all we got? Nobody's dressed up. I was going to have the kids come in and have you know what? Emily, come here.
Still getting ready here.
Thomas, come on.
Thomas, come on, buddy. You don't have to have it right now. Just, can you see us?
There you go.
There you go. I need
Here,
somebody.
I'll go over there.
Come on in. Thank you. Scooch in. Get your heads in here. Guys, Finn's Temple Focus to your family. Happy Halloween!
Move, piggies!
Everybody took off. Made good decisions tonight. Guys, have a blast. Fins up.